Good morning. I'm back in my craft room. I haven't been crafting much lately. I don't know why. I just think my mojo just mojoed off for a while. So I'm back and I've got a project. I'm going to make myself some tarot tiles. Now, if you recall, I experimented with I had a dodgy copy of the Hanson Roberts tarot deck. So I purchased myself a proper deck, but the one that was a copy, I just tried creating a tarot tile with one of the cards. Now, this is the strength card, and I had to reduce it down by cutting the name off. So what I decided to do, I had seen tarot tiles. Now, they have been professionally made, and they are beautiful, but they are out of my price range. So I thought, right, I'm going to make myself some tarot tiles, and these are personal use. They're not going to be sold on, so I'm not infringing any copyrights as such. And I'm using different sized tiles and different tarot deck. The tarot deck I'm using is the Radiant Wise Spirit and I'm using the Radiant Wise Spirit Mini because that's already a small deck, but it's still a little too big for the tarot tile. So I'll give you an example. Here is the tarot tiles I will be using, and they're a nice little, so you can see you'd hold them in your hand, you know, they're not overly small. The ones I've seen are possibly half this size, say about that big, but these are twice the size. They're easier for me to handle, and they're just going to be really nice to have in my collection, and of course made by myself. It makes it even that little bit more special. So this is the Guillotine that I'm using. It's a slidey blade one. I wouldn't necessarily recommend the slidey blade one because as it gets blunt it starts pulling on the card, but that's just something you have to get over. And this is the corner cutter that I have. It has 3 different sizes: 4mm, 7mm and 10mm corners. So it's created for crafting, for, you know, taking the corners off cards, and that's the underneath of it there. I have my Stanley knife here, my blade, just in case I have I leave little edges on. Instead of putting it back through here and pulling it, I just slightly go like that along the edge and it shaves off any excess card. I'm using a very fine marker. It's a 0.05 Staedtler pigment liner, and the reason I'm using this, I'm popping the card that needs to be trimmed up against the edge here so it doesn't move. I'm taking the previous card that was cut and popping it here. I'm making sure I have every part of the image from the card that I want in it. So I'm taking off the name and I just mark the corners, and that gives me an idea of where I'm cutting. So I just pop that there. It's not always easy to keep the top card still while you're tracing around, but it is doable. Oops, that's quite to the side there, a little bit skew. I'm a little bit fussy like this, so I am. I'm just marking the corners in, and that helps me to line it up here on the guillotine. You can see the lines that I've drawn on the card, okay, and this is the part that needs a lot of concentration. It's so easy to go slightly off kilter with it. there's our hermit, nice and trimmed. Hi, so here I am back again working on the tarot tile project, and I have had a near disaster, which I have to say nearly stopped my heart. I had cut out all the majors. I'm working on the majors first. I'm going to go back and cut out the minors once I have completed all the 22 major arcana. So as you had seen, I'd spent some time cutting them out, and then I started popping them onto the wood. Now, prior to me doing that, I decided, right, before I pop the cards onto the wooden tile, I want to decorate the wooden tile. So I had a couple of attempts, and I used a wood burner. Then I decided to just try and use colours, you know. Now, this is just a scrap piece, as you can see, the felt tips, they just smudged everywhere. It's too blotchy, too ugly, too yucky. So that was a goner. That was decided as a no-no. So I drew it again using a lot lighter. Now that does look okay, but again the black was a bit messy. But I thought, well, okay, we'll see how we go. We can always sand it off. And I decided to stick the World card onto here. Mother of Divine God, I thought I had destroyed the deck. I popped the card on, the trimmed card, and I put the resin on it, and I put it under the UV lamp to dry. And I'm looking at it, as I'm looking at it, it's sort of raising here, it's sort of raising at the side here, and sure enough the resin was lifting up like that, taking my card with it. And I thought, oh holy God. So I eventually, once it had dried, I couldn't do anything while it was still scalding hot and bubbling. I managed to get it off, and I managed to get the card off, but as you can see, it left bits of card on that I had to pick up. So I was very lucky in the fact that I was able to carry out a repair to the card. And what I discovered was I had glued on, sorry, but I decided I didn't like this. Sorry, Sally and Sammy, stop. I decided I didn't like this design, so in a way it was a blessing in disguise. I managed to peel the resin off. I then had the card stuck to this, and I used my scalpel here and eased the card off. You can see some of the card remained there, and when that remained there, I thought, oh, I've buggered this up altogether. I was able to inch underneath and get it off, and I managed to glue it back on. Now, the glue I had used, so there you go, isn't that great? So what had happened, the glue I had used to put the tarot card onto the wooden tile was this clear PVA glue, and the thing is, it bubbles under the card, lifting it up. So that was a disaster. So what I decided to do, I thought, well, what did I use on the other card that I did earlier, you know, a few months ago? I used Pritt. So I put these cards on with Pritt, and then as you can see there, I put the resin on, and it dried, and it's left a nice glassy finish. So you can see that there, I'm shining there, and I just try and turn that light a little bit away so you can hopefully see the glassy finish. So that's a nice tarot tile. These are all complete, so I'm just going to go with some of those that I have still got to do, so that I can show you. Just pick these up. Just put out my hand there, and I'm going to pop them into here. Now, like I said, I'm going to do the 22 majors first, okay? Now, I'm going to work on the hermit. I've not decorated the tile at all, and I'm not sure if I want to, because I'm actually liking this totally plain look. What I will be doing is varnishing the backs of them to try and bring out the grain of the wood. These are all absolutely lovely, and on one of them I was looking, just bear with me now, this one, look at the knot in that. That's so natural, and I'm going to try and highlight that and the natural grain in the little tiles. And we'll see how that works out. I might burn a little bit of a design on the back, but I don't think I will, because I'm actually liking these as they are. Now, I'm just going to turn this down around here so you can have a look at what I'm doing here. Okay, excuse the big belly. Right, now, here we go. These are the tiles I'm working on at the moment. And we'll start off with our Pritt glue. It's a little bit sticky. I got so much after messing around with this other one here. Now this is all going to be binned. As you can see, this disaster zone is going to be binned. Thank God I had enough tiles. Sally, come out of there. Come on. Sally's creeping under the craft table to see what she can run off with. So I'm just popping, making sure it's not that it's thick, but just so that each section of the card is covered, so that there's no space that air bubbles can get in underneath. And whoops, now I've got glue all over my fingers. I'll give that a clean before I put any resin on it. And you can see I pop that on, just straighten it up, and there our hermit is sitting nicely on our wood there. And I'm just going to give that a wipe. Get that off there. Give it a little tiny wipe with some alcohol hand cleanser. Just put a tiny dot on my finger. Pop it onto the card and it just takes the glue off. And then I just let that dry. So the Pritt stick I had on the front has now gone, okay? And that is sitting nicely in the centre of our tile. So I let that dry whilst I pop these two other ones on, which is the Chariot and the Strength card. That there, bang in the middle, perfect, no glue anywhere. It's a resin from another project. These cards you can see here are actually inlaid in my table. And if you go back through my videos, you'll see the creating of this table. Recall the Strength card was one that I trimmed again because I wasn't happy with the space around the edge. So that, I'll come to that in a minute. Those are drying. So now this is the resin I'm using for this. This is just a UV resin, and it saves me having to mix epoxy resin and hardener, you know. So it's really okay in the fact that it dries fairly nicely. Now I'm just putting it on quite thin. So see there, that's going on there. You can see the liquid pouring on. And remember, resin, regardless whether it's epoxy resin, UV resin, it has its own levelling ability. But what I do here, I tend to help it. Okay, now what I do when I'm helping it, thank you Pauline Myler for the wooden sticks, they really are coming in handy. Actually, I'll use this one here. It's flatter. What I do with this, because I don't want it thick, you see, I just want to give it a coating of resin. so that it gives me a nice glassy finish, and I spread that a little bit like honey across the card. Then I bring it to the edge of the tile so that it's nice and sealed. And a little resin goes an awful long way. You can smooth out nicely here with this. My friend Pauline, her mum collected these sticks for me. She likes her ice cream, so she collected all the little spatulas for me so that I can use them here in my art room. Which is ever so kind of her. Now, you might notice the odd little air bubble in your resin. So what do? You get rid of it. How do you get rid of it? I'll show you that right now. Now you can see it's all glossy because it's got all the resin everywhere on it, okay? So there's a little tiny air bubble there. I want to get rid of it, so I'm using a tiny lighter. It's like a little blowtorch. And I just go over it. You see it crackles across the top, and that's getting rid of every single air bubble. Then I have a UV lamp here that I'm just going to pop on, and I'm going to pop that under it. I'll give it 60 seconds. Oops, I've just gone and touched the resin. Quickly, Elaine, before it dries. Now it's already forming a skin, so I've made a bit of a boo-boo there. So I'm just going to pop this on here, get rid of that little mark, and just pat it out, spread it out. Because the minute it sees the UV, it starts curing. So I managed to get rid of that messy side that I touched. Bang it on there. And in we go. So whilst that's curing underneath there, I'm going to put the resin onto the chariot. So here we go. Blob in the middle. Not too generous, not too mean. And then using a spatula, spreading it out across the card. Once you've got it nice and even across the card, then take it out to the edges. Now my timer goes on for 60 seconds under the UV lamp, so I just press the button for it to go for another 60 seconds. And within about 3 to 4 minutes, you'll find that it's completely cured. Okay, so pull it out like that. Pull it out like this. Around the edges. Make sure not to get a fingerprint on it like I did just now on the hermit. Some little solid bit in there, just take that off. So whilst it's wet, you've literally got seconds to work with it. This isn't like I say the epoxy resin where you have about 20 to 40 minutes curing time depending on the depth of it. So that's the whole thing, and I slide it under that lamp and bang it on. And while those two are curing, along comes our strength card for its dose of resin. Thank goodness I've got another bottle of resin here. And once again we take our spatula and drag our resin across the card. Like I say, you have to work carefully, but you have to work quickly because it does set very quickly, and you do want to keep it careful because you want it all even. You want it to look like a little glass tile. So I take it down here. Let's have a look at the whole thing done. The whole thing a little bit there. A wee bit there. And then I want to get the air bubbles out. Oops, there's a little bit there that needs covering, just there. Sometimes you just have to tip it to help it join to, you know, some of the resin might leave a little bit of space. So then all you do, you get your little, do that, and like the others, you just pop that under your lamp. Okay, my lamp holds 3 quite comfortably. So whilst they're curing, you will notice that the first one that I put under, that will be its 4th round now. So say 4 minutes it takes to cure. In fact, I think I could take that out now. Yes, that one can come out. Oh, nice and solid. There you go. There's our hermit. So that's a tarot tile. So I'm going to sort the backs out when I have finished all the resining. Sorry about the dogs barking there. There's a little mark just on the top here. I've only a few more to go on the major arcana and then they're finished, and they are, that one I might give a little bit of a going over to. I'm very happy with these. So that's where I am at the moment, and it's coming on quite nicely. It's not been without its issues, but they haven't been issues that can't be rectified. So just to get the stickiness off my hands, because resin is very sticky. Also, what I will tell you to do is, if you're working with resin, whether it's particularly UV resin, because your other resin will be curing without your hands in the way, if you've got the tiniest bit of resin on your hands and you go to put your hand underneath that lamp, whether it's to pull something out or to put something in, that resin will get very hot on your hands quite quickly and it can burn you. So just be very careful, make sure your hands are completely resin free. Okay, so see you soon. Hello, well, I have finished the major arcana. At this moment in time, I've got the tile created. I put resin over the card that I glued with Pritt. Don't use PVA glue because it's a disaster for this particular project, although PVA glue is very good. It's not good for this project because when you put your tile with the resin under the heat lamp, the PVA glue bubbles and causes your card to peel off, and as I explained earlier on, I had a major disaster. But the 22 major arcana are now finished. I have left the wood at the back plain. Now it looks stark white there, probably because of the way the light's shining, but I'm going to try and put a thin layer of varnish on the back just to try and pull out the faint grain of the wood, because it is very soft wood. I do have the option of maybe burning on a design, but my hand's a bit shaky when it comes to using the wood burner. So what I may do, I can't use felt tip pen either because it bleeds into this wood. So I think the varnish is the way to go myself. So here we go. That's our fool, and where I'm keeping them. So if you recall, I made some tarot boxes earlier in the year, and oh, look at the colour. I do like the colour on them. You know, there's a bit of glittering, well, not glitter, but there's a bit of a sparkle on some of them. So, and that's the inside. Okay, so that doesn't come off, that's sort of stuck in the paint. Nope, no glitter. So these are sitting, it's a perfect size to sit the cards in that way. So they are currently in this box, there. Now I'll probably put one of the suits in here. I will put one suit of the miners in here, and then 3 suits of the miners in the other box that I created, just like this. And they're perfectly sized. Look at that, it just fits over lovely. Well, I'm so glad I made these boxes. Now they have a use. So for now, until I have got something else in there, let me see, can I pop something at an angle in there to stop them falling? Yes, I can pop my little set of stones in there, bring some positivity, pop that closed, and that's where they'll stay till the morning. I am really pleased with those. So those are the majors, and like I say, I'll start the minors tomorrow. As you're aware now, I have now completed the 22 major arcana, and I am now starting on the minors, and I am choosing to start with the suit of cups. Let me just I took you through the tiles last night, so I'm not going to do that again now. Just realised I did that last night. So I've cut the first, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The first 6 of the cups, I have trimmed them, okay? And I am just in the throes of doing the rest of them. So I'll turn the camera around so that you can see me trimming these, and then I'll speed it up a little bit, and then we'll take it to an end product. I won't go through every single card of all of the 4 suits, just give you a rundown again how I did it, and show you what it looks like in the end. I hope you like it, and I hope you find that this is a project you too could take on and enjoy making something for yourselves during this lockdown, something that means something to you. My aim is to use these tiles on a piece of a disc from a fallen tree from the forestry, and that will be what I will read with the tiles on, so it's sort of wood on wood, so it's nature, you know. I've been having a think about the backs now. As you can see, I'm going to need to, because they've been on the table here and I've had resin and everything else on the table, there's tiny little marks, so I'm going to give them an alcohol clean down. So this is my World Tarot tile. It's lovely and smooth, as you can see. There you go, you can see that, you can see the glassiness of the resin. It has set really nicely, and it's taken well to this, considering this is the card that I had the issue with, and I actually had to peel the corners off a stuck piece of resin. It's turned out beautifully. I thought I'd totally ruined it. I'm still gobsmacked that I haven't. Now if you look here, I'm going to hold this in the light, turn the light onto this to see if it will show it up. There you go. If I hold it like that, you can see some of the wood features in the wood. Okay, now on some of them, let me just show you, they're going to all be different because, as we know, it's like a fingerprint really. I think, is it my sun? Let's just have a look on the sun. No, it's not. Which one was it? Just bear with me a second. Here we go. Oh, it's the moon. Look at the back of that. Oops. Sorry. We've got a nice knot in the wood there. So with a little bit of varnish and a little bit of polishing up, that will really look nice. So I'm thinking, as opposed to having a design burnt onto the back of them or something, just going with keeping it a natural wood colour. Right, now the wood dye that I used on the major arcana and the suit of cups has now dried into the tile, and as I was explaining before, it's really lifted up the grain fantastically. Just look at that, there's a lovely knot in this particular one, and in this one here we've got perfect lines. Just look at that. So you can see it's left it looking really beautiful. Now, I want to protect the backs of these, okay? The resin protects the front. I'm going to put something on to protect the back. Using the Ronseal Ultra Tough Satin Coat, it just gives it a nice little sheen. So that is what I will be left with. And the card, or the tarot tile, sorry, will have a nice layer of protection on it. So this is going to be how the end product will look. Our tarot card on the front of nice natural wood tiles. So that's it. Am I happy with this? Yes, I really am. Maybe further down the line I might look at popping something on the top of the coating, but maybe not. We'll see how it goes. At this moment in time, I'm really happy with the outcome. So folks, that's it. That's how I have made my tarot tiles. I hope that you have found this helpful. I also hope that it's given you the confidence or the ideas that you can use the ideas and run with it yourself and make your own. Something to do during lockdown. It's been, like I say, I haven't used the, what do you call it, epoxy resin. As you know, I use the UV resin, so I'll pop a list underneath my video of all the materials I used, and if you do choose to make something like this, do share the outcome of your project with us, because it would be lovely to see. You know, you can add little twists and turns to your own to make yours more personal to you, you know. Look at that, that's a lovely finish. You know, make it yours by just being creative. I hope you've enjoyed this process. Take care, and I hope you're all happy, safe and healthy wherever you are.